One of the questions I get asked all the time is, if you lost everything, what would you do to rebuild back up? Well, our guest is a 7-figure entrepreneur who is doing exactly that. Got rid of everything, starting with nothing and rebuilding back up to a 7-figure business. You're going to want to listen to this, so keep listening. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today we have an amazing story, an amazing person on the podcast who's doing an amazing challenge, I guess is what you would call it. This person has built $1 million business and is restarting all over from scratch to build up another one. And today we have Mike Black on the podcast. Mike, welcome to the show.
Brandon, thanks for having me, man. Excited.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited too. So let's just start off by talking about, is challenge the right word? Is that what you have going on?
Yeah, we can call it a challenge. Call it a challenge.
Okay.
So yeah, I can give some background on it real quick.
Yep.
So pretty much I have 12 months to go from zero to $1 million. Mm-hmm. Started with nothing, absolutely nothing, but one pair of clothes and a cell phone with internet, no place to live. Took everything that I owned, put it away, cut off my entire network. Quite frankly, I don't love the vanity metric of hitting $1 million in a year.
Yeah.
But I decided to choose that as a vanity metric. But really, this is about reinventing yourself.
I love that. And why $1 million? Is that just to have that benchmark there, just like something to aim towards?
Yeah, the reason for that was, it's if you ask someone what's your goal, and a lot of people answer that question with, I want to make $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's their answer. I think their goal should really lead with, I want to be happy, and figure out, reverse engineer what makes me happy.
Yeah.
But the reason that I decided to go with that was, I was like, you know what? It's pretty hard to build a business to $1 million. I was able to do it with my last business. Let's just shoot with the vanity metric of that. But again, really, it's just about reinventing yourself. And a lot of people are really struggling during the whole COVID situation. So I looked at this and thought of this as an opportunity to help people get through those times. And that's what inspired all of this, was really seeing some people struggle that were close to me, and trying to figure out, what can I do to help? Because advice just wasn't enough. So it's like, what if I put myself in the shoes of someone starting over? What would that look like? And that's how the idea for the project started. And
I love that too. So that's one thing that especially with my team here, is we talk about is happiness level. Like, we have to have happy employees. We have to find happiness. And it's kind of the foundation of the podcast, which is like, so many people get trapped into this idea of, I have to go do that. My parents told me I need to be a doctor, or I have to go to school and do X, Y, and Z. And you have all these unhappy people. And we're kind of like, no, there's a million different ways to make money. And really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you make, as long as you make more than what you spend and you're doing what you love every day, then you're good. Like, you won. So I love that whole side of it. When you say reinvent yourself, what have you discovered about yourself, like going through this, and what does reinvent actually mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've definitely learned a few things about myself. A lot of the things I kind of, these were some of the things I've learned were really things I feel like I already kind of knew, but not to the extreme for me, which, like, I cannot tell you how much from the bottom of my heart I say this with, is like going from nothing. Like, I was literally homeless on day one.
Yeah.
The first month was definitely a struggle. The first day was really tough. I've never been homeless. I've never had to experience that. And, kind of like begging and even going into an establishment to get water was a pretty humiliating experience.
Right.
And kind of like being in that situation really opened up my eyes to, wow, this really is a struggle. It's hard to get off out of that situation. But, once I was able to find a place to live, I don't need a lot of money to be happy. Like, it's kind of funny, because like working with the production team, we have a whole production team that edits all of our videos, films. One of our videographers who's awesome. Logan over here is filming right now.
Yeah.
We have a weekly meeting and they're like, hey man, like we need more emotion out of you. We need like, people want to see like all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, sorry. Like, like I'm super freaking happy making $1,000 a month. Like legit, I need $1,000 a month to live. That's it. That's it. So you're not going to like see a lot of that in our weekly videos.
Right.
And that's what I really learned about myself is just like how happy I am with, for me, health matters. That's it. Like family healthy. Yup. Happy. My healthy. Yup. Happy. And then, you know, outside of that, it's really about impact. Like for me, and probably why I'm so happy during this project is like, I know that I'm working on something that I really, 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 really want to work on. I understand that money doesn't drive me. I'm not driven at all by money.
Right.
I'm very driven by impact. So I guess in that scenario, that's also made me unbelievably happy throughout the project. So it's, you know, right now where I'm at, I'm sharing a room with another dude. I had to share an RV with a dude for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all. I mean, I was able to get up and work my butt off. So it was, I was very happy.
Yeah. And have you done any work to find that happiness level? Cause I know for me personally, I've done a lot of like spiritual work and ancient wisdom type of work. And I've gone to like things like Landmark and just, I mean, the lens in which I see the world has completely shifted. And I'm a big believer that the more you change as a person, the more successful you be as an entrepreneur. Have you done any work to be able to find, like move yourself to that level of happiness?
That's an amazing question. And actually, like, I really try to like look as inner as possible to kind of answer this for myself, because I've always been this way. And it's 100% parenting. Like the way my dad raised, and my mom, mostly my dad though, raised me and my siblings. If you meet any of my siblings, like we're all the same. Like the way my dad raised us is like, work hard, but don't take life very seriously. Just have fun, enjoy life, but work hard.
Right.
So for me, I just don't take things very seriously unless it's related to health. Like as long as everyone's healthy, I'm pretty happy. So I truly haven't done much work. Now, with that being said, there are some pretty cool things that I've discovered over the years that have helped with, I've always been unbelievably grateful. Yeah. And one thing that I recently discovered maybe a year or two ago is something, and I've only done this a couple times, but it really has, I really like doing them. It's called a death meditation. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. So a death meditation is pretty much you listen to audio that puts you in the mindset of that you just died. And like, it puts you in the mindset of you're actually dead, and you're kind of like, everyone's at your funeral. Are you happy with the life you lived? Are you happy with the relationships? Are you happy with, you know, how you treated other people, et cetera? And I think that like doing that puts like a really good perspective on life, and out of nowhere kind of brings to surface what really matters. So that is something I've done. Again, I haven't done them very, very often. I've done them a couple times, but I think that's a really good way to dig deep on an inner level. I get pretty emotional when I do them. Yeah. Because when you truly if you can find a good audio for this, like you really put yourself in the mindset of like you just died. Yeah. And it's really cool. So like, I would say like anyone that wants to practice more gratitude and really figure out what is very important to them, I would highly recommend trying out a death meditation.
That's crazy. Cause I work with a shaman and do a lot of like, for lack of a better word, spiritual work is what I would call it. But there's a phrase called shamanic death. And it's kind of the same thing, but what it really is I would say after the type of meditation you're doing, maybe you recognize something that you don't like, there's going to be, and you want to change it, it literally needs to die. And so, which means a part of you is basically going to die. And those are really tough things to kind of go through, but you come out as a better person that when you do the death meditation that you're talking about, you would have a better experience of people saying nice things, or you accomplished more, you know, stuff like that. So I love that. And I've never heard of that before, but that's, you know, one of the questions I ask myself all the time is like, at the end of the day, did you live a life that you were like happy every day? Were you fulfilled every day? Were you nice to people? Like, what would people be saying? And then that plus gratitude for me, same exact thing you're saying, is like, it's so simple, but it's like the key. It literally is like the key to happiness. And so many people miss that.
Yeah. And doing a death meditation, it like really brings that to surface. Like if you're in the process right now where you're like, I don't know if I like what I'm doing. I don't like, should I be doing this? Am I chasing something that I shouldn't be chasing? If you do something like that, and you put yourself in the mindset of like, I just died. Well, like, are you happy with the life you lived? It really brings to surface. I need to realign with what I think is most important. So
yeah,
can't recommend it enough. I
have a question on that, because I know what's going to happen is that people might do that and they recognize something is not right, or I didn't like what I saw, and I didn't like what people were saying, and no, I didn't live. Like they might find these things, and what's going to happen is the ego or the mind is automatically going to go like, yeah, but that's just the way it is, or you can't go chase whatever. But it sounds like you're very similar to me, where you're just like, I didn't like that, I'm going to go effing change it now. What, like, is that, am I accurate 100%. In that assumption? Okay.
100%.
What would you say to someone who's just like, okay, great, Mike, I did the death meditation, but I can't change any of it?
You 100% can change. You are 110% in control of your life. I think from what I've discovered, I mean, with this whole project, I really didn't use too much social media before this project.
Yeah.
And as I started using social media and people have been reaching out, I've realized, one of the bigger things that holds people back is a lack of confidence, and people just don't believe in themselves. And it's crazy to me because I'm so 180 on this. And if you watch my content, it's hilarious. Like if you actually watch my content, you'll see like how I just do things and like, don't care if I'm not the greatest at it. Like when we started doing our live streams, we had a lot of issues, didn't care. And we're live, and I'm telling people like, look, we're having all these issues. Like, this is so cool because we're learning.
Right.
So I think you got to embrace learning, not be scared of failure, not think, oh, I can't do this. Go do stuff and suck at it. Like, don't worry about that. If you're doing though, you're learning.
Right.
And if you're not doing, you're not learning as rapidly. So, and I don't know how to like really encourage people more to get over that lack of confidence, other than to just really, like for me, just totally embrace learning and be excited to fail, because that means that you're learning. So
it's a game, I think, too. Like, I just view life as a game, and when you view it as a game, you're not so attached to, I have to have this house, or I have to have this car, or I have to do whatever. You're just like, okay, great, I'm in the game, and now I got it. Like, we hit this little like stumbling block, and now we're experiencing this, and this is great. Like, and again, finding the gratitude in all of that stuff. Like when I was growing my business, we were so broke, I had to move in with my in-laws, and we were like, all my friends were buying houses and getting married and having kids, and we didn't do any of that stuff. But I was just so freaking happy. I'm like, I get to wake up every day. I don't have to go to a job. Like, sure, I'm living with my in-laws, but who cares? I'm like, my wife didn't enjoy it as much because it's her parents, but I love that, because you and I think very similarly. And I hope all of you guys listening are picking up on the stuff that Mike's saying is literally the same stuff that I tell you guys. And it's not a coincidence. Like, this is the secret to building something and being happy and being successful. And with that said, I want to backtrack. I want to get into the project and challenge, but I kind of want a little bit of a background story of your other company that you built up. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was and how it got started? So
I run a software development agency called Told Media. I started this company 3.5 to 4 years ago. Not a good start when we started the company. I went $50,000 in debt.
Whoa.
So before that company, I had started a startup called Parking Bee, which is like Airbnb for parking. I started a SaaS company called Mapify, which was a software as a service for government agencies. Those two companies failed. When we shut those companies down, then I started Told Media to kind of bootstrap those companies. Mm-hmm. One of the first contracts we signed, we lost $100,000 on.
Whoa.
In total, showing those. Yeah, it was not a good way to start.
What happened there?
Yeah. So now when I say like we lost $100K, it was supposed to be in billables. We were supposed to be billing $100 an hour. We had I think it was 3.5 people full time for like 2.5 months. We had an office space, And we're again supposed to be billing 100 an hour. We got halfway through this project that we totally underscoped, and we're like, oh my god, we're billing 30K for the project. We should have billed 120K.
Jeez.
It literally makes financial sense to just apologize. We gave them all the code and design for free and said, here you go.
Yeah.
So that was that's how we started Toll Media, or I started Toll Media. It wasn't a fun way to start, but
oh my gosh.
So that.
Is that what put you into 50K debt?
Yeah. So that along with shutting the other two companies down. So with Parking Me and Mapify, I had 4 co-founders. Such an amazing time. We were working out of basements, just grinding. Yeah. We had gotten final rounds with 500 startups and Techstars, and then we didn't get in. So we're like, let's bootstrap. Now during that time, I was doing everything possible to make the company successful. Like I was going to do anything I possibly could until the very, very end. And the part of that was putting my co-founders' living expenses on my credit card.
Oh my gosh.
So we were so broke. And by the way, I highly, highly, highly recommend never doing this ever. But we were so broke. We were living out of a house and it was super cheap rent, but and I don't know if this is legal, but I connected my credit card to my Venmo. And I would Venmo my co-founder with my credit card. So it would come off my card. Yeah. And then he would Venmo the money back. So then I had cash to go pay the rent.
Oh my gosh.
So, cause at the time there's things now where you can pay rent with credit cards that didn't exist at the time.
Right.
So not very smart, but that's what we did.
But innovative.
A little bit innovative, I guess. So all that lined up with like that contract going really badly, put me 50 grand in debt. But Brandon, I'll tell you, like I woke up every day. If you met me, you would have no idea until I told you. Cause I was like very open about it. I never really never really cared about judgment. I actually remember laughing about it with my friends. Cause I live with other people that own companies. And I was like, dude, I'm 50K in debt. This sucks. But literally like it did not change my mindset or my level of happiness. I was like legitimate. I'm kind of crazy. Like I would wake up and be like pumped to get out of debt. I was like, let's do this, baby. Like this is a challenge. Let's do it. Right. So $50,000 in debt. And I think within like 5-6 months, I paid off all the debt. Wow. So I just had to change things up a bit. Like we hired people that were more senior level developers. Yeah. We got better at our process. I got better mentors and I just learned how to run a better business model. And from there, I think year 1 or 2, we did 500,000 revenue. Then next year we did over $1 million. And so it was a really fun journey, a lot of ups and downs, but the whole time it was just very exciting. Yeah.
It's crazy because that's kind of our story is very similar in that sense, but I was $40,000 in debt. We had the company and then we did about 500,000 that year and I just hated it. Like the kind of what you talked about, like happiness level just wasn't there. I'm like, I hated doing what I was doing every day. I was working all the time. I didn't know how to really run a business, but we were producing like 500K and then I just got rid of it all and then $40,000 in debt. And I had to rebuild myself out of that. So I get it. I wish I could say that I was waking up every day pumped, but I was waking up every day scared out of my mind because I had 2 kids and my wife wasn't working. And so
that's a totally different, that's a very different situation.
Yeah. But what does your company actually do? Do you guys like develop software for other companies? Is that the model?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. So companies hire us and we develop software for them. We have an office in Medellin, Colombia. Okay. That's like our offshore resources or our nearshore resources is what the industry calls it. So like our model is we have very senior level engineers, both in Medellin and in the US, but we put a lead US engineer on every project to kind of do like the initial scope work or oversight and the client communication. Yeah. And then we have our team in Medellin do a lot of more of the heavier lifting on most projects. Some clients just want to work with the US team, but almost all projects have at least one US engineer on them.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So you built that company out and then you got the spark to do this challenge. So now when you did this challenge, and I'll ask you what the rules are here in a second, but what happens to the other company? Are you still running it? Is someone else still running it? Okay.
Yep. So I still do oversight, but I mean, honestly, I really haven't had to do too much. I'm just checking in with team members, checking in with clients. I want to say putting out fires, but really I haven't had to put up too many fires. Honestly, it's been a really good first 4 months. The team's been really stepped up, and they've been doing a great job. So I haven't had to do too much.
Gotcha.
On those projects.
Okay, cool. And then, so you got the spark to do this challenge. Was there something that sparked the itch to do this, or was it just an idea that you came up with? Was it what was the idea like?
Yeah, definitely. So really, when things are a little bit different now, I still see a lot of people that are still struggling. But when COVID hit, I had a couple friends. One friend had a $10 million business, overnight went to a $2 million business.
Jeez.
Another friend, not an entrepreneurial friend, someone that I went to college with and everything. He worked in the restaurant industry, and he was not even able to collect unemployment because he really bad timing, quit his job and was planning on getting another job right before COVID hit. And because he quit his job and then COVID hit, he wasn't able to collect unemployment, and then he couldn't get a job because everything closed. So just like watching all these things happen to a lot of people, and I talked to a lot, and there's a lot more people that I talked to, and I just saw business after business after business close in Austin, Texas, and I mean around the US. And just seeing the devastation, and I was really trying to figure out, like, what can I do? Like, how can I help people that are going through this? And I would give advice and whatnot, but I don't like just talking. So it was like, you know what, maybe I can do more.
Right.
And it was super weird. It was one of those things where I was thinking about that for a couple of days, like, what else can I do? And I just literally just woke up. This is literally what happened. I woke up May 25th. I was like, this all just hit me.
Yeah.
Literally in bed. It just hit me. I was like, wow, this would be super cool to put myself in someone else's shoes and start over and try to build a company to $1 million with nothing. And literally the next day, May 26th, I was like, I'm doing this 100% all in. And I posted in a really cool Facebook group called Trends, which is run by The Hustle.
Okay.
Sam Parr, if you know of him at all.
Yeah.
But it's a really awesome group. So I posted in it, and then the CEO of The Hustle tweeted it, and it got a lot of exposure. It was one of the most engaged on posts in the actual group.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh shoot, now I gotta go hire the whole video team. What do I do? And I started kind of scrambling because there was so much outreach after that I needed to get a website up. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I need a website, need this. And I had no experience with social media or like video production whatsoever. So I was kind of clueless, but I was like, okay, I need to hire people. Yeah, let's do it. So then at that time when COVID hit, before COVID, I'm based in Austin, Texas. I was living with my girlfriend. During the winter, we were like, you know what? It's kind of cold in Austin right now. Let's go to Miami Beach because it's like the hottest place in the US during the winter, and I hate the cold. So we were in Miami Beach, and then COVID hit. So we're like, you know what? Let's move home with family because we had, if you remember, like the beginning of COVID, like no one knew like how deadly this could be or what the situation was. So we were like, let's go move home with our parents. And we're both from the Northeast. So I moved to Philly, she moved to Boston. We were kind of both back and forth, like visiting each other and stuff, but we wanted to just be with family. So when I came with this idea, I was with my parents. So right when I came with the idea, I think like a week later moved back to my place in Austin and to like hire everyone in Austin, Texas and build the production team. And I think the target date originally was like July 1st or something, but we ended up starting July 10th. Okay. So I was able to get my lease to end on July 10th. And that's once I turned those keys in. Yep. You had nowhere to go. We were live. Yeah. Nowhere to go. So
I love that. Yeah. And what are the rules that you set for yourself with this whole challenge?
Yeah. So the rules are really just like no unfair advantages. So I cut off my entire network. Not allowed to use my network for anything other than producing the project, like video production, marketing, etc. Right. I cut off my whole network. I drained my bank account to zero. I put everything in storage, and I started with absolute nothing. Yeah. Minus the pair of clothes and the cell phone. I also cannot start the same business because that'd be an unfair advantage, right? Like I already know how to build a software development agency. Those are like really the main rules, I guess. Is like, can't use the network, can't build a similar, it has to be a different business I've never built before. And if I meet anyone, I have to use my best judgment, and I'm undercover, I guess. So like I'm going as, originally I was going as Scott, which is my middle name. I changed that like a month into the project to go as my real name is Mike Black, to go as Mike Scott, just because like it felt weird telling people, hey, I'm Scott. Like, that's been the worst part of the project, honestly, is the whole undercover thing. It's been like a huge like moral dilemma I've had. And my justification is like, I'm doing this to help people. Like the whole goal is to prove people that they can reinvent themselves. So that's my mental justification. But that's the one thing I hate about this project. 2 people so far, only 2 people have actually, I guess, figured out my real identity, and I had to cut them off. So
how do they figure it out?
So one of them was actually like, I believe in mentorship. So like literally in the first week of the project, I reached out to, I was originally going to start a cleaning business, and I cold emailed a successful cleaning business in Philadelphia. And I don't know how, he just like looked me up. It probably wasn't that hard. And he was able to find my LinkedIn. So like on LinkedIn, what I ended up doing is changing my LinkedIn to Scott Black. So if you go to my LinkedIn, it's not Mike Black anymore. Because people I meet in real life, just in case they look me up, I don't want people to find my like real LinkedIn. So that's how that person found me. The second person, I was actually hiring someone on my marketing team as Mike Scott for the business I was building. And I screwed up, and I accidentally posted the job on Indeed under Told Media instead of my business that I'm building for the project. So that was my fault. So I had to cut that person off. Now it's super hard though, like, cause like there's always people shooting video. So it is a little bit hard to kind of like keep my identity on the down low. So again, like I'm pulling off a rent hack right now where I'm living rent free. So I found a house. I rented the house and I'm re-renting the rooms. So I'm moving in there in about 2 weeks. So all those people.
That's pretty smart. So you like, let's just say you found a place for 2,000. It has 3 bedrooms, and you're renting the rooms out to like 700. So they pay the rent. So you're living for free. Exactly.
Actually, you almost just described it perfectly. So literally that was almost perfect. So it's a 4-bedroom house. I rented the place for $2,000. It was significantly underpriced. Like if you look at comps, like that same house would go for pretty close to $4,000. I was able to I actually miss some of the rules. One of the other rules is I'm assuming I have bad credit. Just because I don't want any excuses. I don't want people to watch like, oh, well, he had good credit. Nope. Bad credit. So I had to get a credit partner. So I found someone to be my credit partner to sign the lease with me. I was actually able to put the $2,000 down because I have about $5,000. Now I have a little less because of the deposit. But I was able to put that down. I partnered with a credit partner, giving him 20% of profit. 4-bedroom house. $2,000 a month. I'm renting out 3 of the bedrooms for $900 each.
Jeez.
So the 4th bedroom, free. Plus I'm actually making profit on because there's a little bit of cash flow. Now it's not all said and done yet. It looks like 2 people of the 3 are already going to sign. I'm actually meeting with one of them tonight to kind of finalize things. But this is something that there's risk involved. So I always make that very clear. This is something I've done in the past, but this is, rent and mortgage payments are one of the biggest expenses, if not, it's the biggest expense people spend money on. And it's crazy how much money people spend on things like rent. Like if you're spending, I don't know, $1,500 a month on rent, you can get that down to $1,000. That's $6,000 a year. Like if you're like, oh, I really wish I had money to travel. I really wish I had money to start my business, like downsize. Or pull off a rent hack, then you don't have any rent.
I know. I love that. We're actually interviewing my old neighbor later today, and he's a real estate agent, but he bought his house and then they built this little thing on the side of it, like a little like suite thing,
Love
like
it.
a little, I don't know what, like studio.
Like a guest suite.
Yeah. And he
Or
rents it
in-law
out.
suite, I think they call it.
Yeah, something like that. And he rents it out for his mortgage payment. And he's like, I'm living for free. And I was like, God, it's awesome. I love that type of stuff. So,
Same.
So let's backtrack to like you started this whole thing. You had no money. You said you were homeless. What was the biggest shock? And what was that first like couple months? What was that journey like for you?
Honestly, Brandon, it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
It was much more challenging than I thought, though. That's for sure. This far into the project, I thought it'd be a lot further along. It was a bit harder than I expected to get on my feet.
Yeah.
And part of that was just like living in an RV park was really tough because the internet was really bad. That really held me back a bit. So as quickly as possible, which I ended up there's 2 times in this project where I got extremely lucky.
Yeah.
One of them was finding a place to live on the first day. That was so lucky. And then the second was finding an office space that was very affordable and has iMac computers. Like right now, I still work off an iMac at the co-working space that I have space at. It's only $40 a month. And right now I did get a $100 laptop, but it's like impossible to work off of because it's so slow.
Yeah.
So it, one thing I do is I fast. I've done a 7-day water fast, nothing but water. 3-day fasts are pretty straightforward and not super hard for me to do. I like doing them once a quarter if I can. Yeah. So the first couple of days of the project, I really didn't eat. But it wasn't hard because like I'm kind of used to doing that. The one thing that really has sucked during the project is originally when I was in the RV park, I had to take a bus. That's something I never had to do before. And that eats up a lot of time sitting on a bus for 3 hours a day when you can be working. So that was challenging. Yeah. It was also very eye-opening. Very, very, this experience has been amazing. It's been very eye-opening to be in the shoes of someone starting over and see how things can definitely be intimidating. Right. The biggest thing, I'm a huge proponent of leveraging Facebook groups for almost everything. I use it for everything. Yeah. Like if you're not using Facebook groups in 2020, you got to get on Facebook just for the Facebook groups, everyone. Yeah. Because literally I met my credit partner in there. I meet mentors in there. I find business out of Facebook group. Like I do so much in there. And the post is still up at July 15th. I posted, started on July 10th, July 15th. I was looking at this the other day. I posted because I tried to do the rent hack early. Right. And this is one of the things I thought I was going to be able to pull off sooner rather than later, but it took me like 3.5 months instead of a month, which I thought I'd be able to live rent free within a month. Yeah. I posted in a Facebook group and I pretty much talked about the rent hack. And I was like, hey, I'm trying to build like this founder's house, all this stuff. And like a bunch of people laughed at the post. And this is something I've done in the past. And like when people did that, like my first like gut instinct is like, what a loser. Like who has the time to like put negativity out there, and like they don't know who I am. So like this is something I've done before. Whereas if I posted this as Mike Black instead of Mike Scott, it would have been different. Like people wouldn't have been laughing at it. Right. So I can see how someone who is just starting in business can get really intimidated by negativity in other people's opinions. Because when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's actually like really crazy. So
most people in that situation would have like deleted the post or just gone crawled back into their shell, and just stopped.
And what I realized and what I've been trying to push is like, don't care what other people think. Like I can promise you those couple losers that posted negative things. Yeah. Those people have internal issues. They probably have not very high levels of business acumen if they had those negative comments. I mean, this is something that has worked for me and has been very successful in the past. I have friends that do this, very successful. And theirs isn't like a rent hack. They like just live with a bunch of other founders and like it's an amazing network of people. Right. But don't let other people discourage you. Like most people don't know what they're doing. Like most people really don't know what they're doing. So like I look at that and I tell people like, hey, put stuff out there. do not worry about other people's opinion. If someone's going to say something negative about something you put out, that's a huge judgment on them, not yourself.
Right.
And it happened to me, and I share it as much as I can, because even with this project as Mike Black, when I first started posting, I didn't really know what I was doing too much. And actually someone on our social media team, they made like a July 4th post before all this started. And it was kind of a funny post. I would have like laughed at it too, but I could see a bunch of people were laughing, not even like externally, behind my back, because it was a July 4th post. The person that posted on our team put like a headshot of me and said like Happy July 4th. And I've never posted that on my Instagram, like a headshot of me like that. So like it was kind of polarizing, I guess, for the 200 people that were following, because they're like, what is this guy doing? Like, what a loser. He's like posting a headshot. This guy thinks he's like an influencer. So, but all these people were laughing at me behind my back, because there was like 20, 30 people, I think, like shared, like messaged it. So it was people probably going like, oh, look at this guy. And I shared that with people. I'm like, yo, everyone on Instagram is making fun of me right now. And like, I was like, you know what? I kind of agree with them. It's probably funny. Like, look at this guy, thinks he's an influencer. But I'm excited that people are laughing behind my back, because I'm putting this out there. I'm learning. Like, yeah, maybe this is kind of a weird post. I got to do better. I got to do better. So embrace it. Like, laugh with it. Like, cool.
Lean into
laugh?
it.
Let's laugh together.
100%. And that's the one thing too, is people are like, well, what do you talk about? Or what happens if we get haters and stuff? What do you do? I'm like, either just ignore it and move on and learn from it, or lean into it, you know? And that's kind of what you did too, is when you lean into it, you kind of take that power away from them.
I always choose to lean into it. But be self-aware. Like, like if they're sitting there laughing at you and you're the one putting yourself out there, it says a lot. Like, you're the one that's learning. You're the one that's getting that growth. Let them laugh.
100%,
baby.
I agree with you 100%. So going back to the story and the journey and stuff, I have a ton of questions, but the first one is, how did you end up at an RV park? And what was that the first place you stayed at the first night?
Yes, I got super, super, super lucky. So going into this project, I was like, okay, how am I going to get off the streets? Like, I'm going to have nothing but my phone. So I was like, okay, I have two options. One is, I heard of a site called couchsurfing.co. Couchsurfing.co, I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but for anyone listening, it's a site where people let you stay on their couch for free. It's an amazing community, by the way. It's really like a community for people that travel. That's really the community. And it's like, hey, if you're traveling and you're in my city, you stay on my couch and I'll stay on yours. And there's millions of people on this this app. So I was like, you know what? And I have a friend that recommended it to me like before the project. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is something I can use. And my default was like, okay, if not, maybe I can just flip stuff on the free sections of Craigslist. So I went on to Craigslist, and that's what I was really trying at first, was like, take stuff on the free section of Craigslist, list it on Facebook Marketplace. By the way, that's not something I've done before, but I had someone that interned at Toll Media years ago that did this. Actually, I went with him to do this with a couch. It was actually really funny. He found a couch on the free section of Craigslist. We drove over to the couch. He took pictures of it, listed it. We sold it. We just hung out at the couch, and then the person came and picked it up.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, maybe this will work.
That's amazing.
Now, it was amazing, but here's the problem that I started running into. One, I was like, shoot, I don't have a car. Like, I can't get to these places to pick up these items to resell them. So I was like, shoot, I don't know what to do. So I was like, okay, I need to go really hard on couch surfing. So every single person I was hitting up was like, sorry, not taking anyone in COVID. Sorry, COVID. Sorry, COVID. Sorry, COVID. So I was like, wow, I'm in a predicament here. Like, this is going to be way tougher. Now, here's the thing. I did not expect downtown Austin to be a ghost town, and there was literally no one out. Like, I was blown away. The street, like downtown, no one. And I could not believe how many businesses were closed. I did not realize. So to kind of speed things up here, one person responded to, actually two people responded. The first was really weird. I'm not going to go into the weird stuff that messages I got. I decided I wasn't that desperate. The second person, though, it was like 11 p.m. at night. there's a video. This is in the very first video.
Okay.
I had given up. I was like, I'm sleeping on the streets tonight. I'm not going to have a place to live. I found the bench I was going to sleep on. And then at like 11 p.m., this kid hit me up and he's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. He just started talking to me. And then we got on a phone call and I told him my situation. I was like, I don't have a place to stay, whatever. This kid drove 20 minutes to come pick me up.
Wow.
After I told him my situation. Got very emotional about that, which is in the video, because the amount of just like gratitude, it was amazing. Like,
how old was the kid?
19.
How old are you?
I'm 27, about to be 28 this month.
Okay, awesome.
Getting old.
I'm 36 or 37, so trust me, you got some years still.
but yeah, I mean, that was one of the most amazing things during this whole project, is just like feeling almost defeated for the day. Just like total defeat. And then at the last moment, this person, like after hearing my story, of like having to sleep on the streets, drove 20 minutes, total stranger, picked me up and let me live in his RV. It was supposed to be for a weekend. And then he let me stay for I think it ended up being a month and a half.
Whoa.
And he was just like, okay, like just split the rent with me.
Yeah.
Once you can pay me. So that's how that all went. And I got very lucky on day one.
Yeah. That's very, amazing though. That's just cool.
It was incredible.
I mean, it's just crazy to see, the kindness in humanity. Just like 20 minutes out of his day, comes over rent free, lets you stay there, total stranger. I'm like, you don't hear.
He gave me some food. He gave me, it wasn't a lot of food. It was like a protein bar.
Yeah.
But I was so grateful for that protein bar.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just, you don't hear stories like that in today's day and age as much.
Today, you just hear a lot of negative stuff, and it's definitely a glimmer of hope. There's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah.
And that was just an example of an amazing human being. So
that's awesome. So you're in the RV park, and you had this idea of flipping stuff, which didn't work out because you didn't have a car. What were the first couple things you started to do and try?
You know what's crazy? So I think day 2 I made $50 in profit, and then day 3 I made $250 in profit, not revenue, profit.
Wow.
Flipping things on Craigslist. So what I realized was I don't need a car. And like legitimately, like I was like, I need to make money. What do I do? Yeah. And I was like, wait a sec, maybe I don't need a car. So I just started taking things off the free section of Craigslist.
Yep.
I ripped the listing, so like the images, I put it on Facebook Marketplace, made sure that they didn't already list it on there, and I would sell it on Marketplace. And then if someone was willing to buy it, I would call the person who listed it and just be like, hey, I actually like broker these types of deals. I can actually get you money for it. Would you be willing to do 50-50?
Oh, I love that.
And I would convince them to say yes. And the first day 1, $50 profit. Day 2, $250 in profit. Just taking things off the free section, putting them on Facebook Marketplace, which is
smart.
It was incredible. I was like, oh my God, I can just do this and like make a bunch of, I mean, that was a lot of money for someone.
Yeah. When you have nothing, that's a lot.
Yeah. And then I ended up getting shadow banned on Facebook Marketplace because I think what was happening, I got a little bit greedy, we'll call it. Yeah. And I realized I was like, I don't have to do this in just Austin, Texas. I can do this anywhere. So I started listing stuff everywhere. Yeah. And then Facebook was like, this dude's scamming people probably because it's all over the place. Right. And they shadow banned my account. And I was like, oh shoot, what do I do now? Yeah.
That's so funny. My brother is an entrepreneur, and him and I really love like that hustle mentality, which is just like, how do we make a profit? Like I remember being 24, 25 years old and finding things at Marshall's, and I was like, this is so underpriced, and selling on eBay for like 5 times the money, and like going and buying them all out at all the Marshalls around here. And my brother used to do a very similar thing where he would find stuff that was underpriced on Craigslist, but then he would relist it on Craigslist the same day after getting it, and then sell it for like 2 or 3 times more. And he got caught a couple times by the people he bought it from, who were all pissed off. And he's like, what's your fault? You sold it at that price.
You sold it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's super interesting.
Yeah. So I love that whole thing. So what happened after you got shadow banned?
Yeah. So after I got shadow banned, I ended up I think I created another Facebook account, but that took a couple days. Cause like when you create a new Facebook account, it takes a couple days. But I was like, I need to like actually get some recurring revenue.
Yeah.
What was cool is I found a job for $9 an hour, literally day 2 or 3. I got a job offer in Austin. The problem was I couldn't get there. There was no bus. That Austin, Texas has really poor public transportation.
Okay.
And the bus did not go to that area. So I had to decline that. So like, okay, what do I do? And I think I had made like $500 in profit in total by like day 5, 6, 7. Whenever I got Chatterbanks, I remember exactly when I got Chatterband, but I was able to get some clothes and some food. Because like, remember, the first couple of days I had to shower and then put my clothes back on.
Oh,
so I just had one
gosh,
pair of clothes. It was so gross. I was so pumped when I got my first pair of clothes. I went to Goodwill and like balled out, got like a couple pairs of clothes. But I also saved up enough money to get a used laptop. I think it was like $100 or $150. So the problem I ended up running into though is the internet was so bad at this RV park. But I was able to get that laptop, and then I started just applying to jobs on Upwork. Okay. As many jobs as I could on Upwork.com. And then I think I got a couple, and I started doing like some freelance work. Literally as a virtual assistant. I got a job that paid $20 an hour. I got another job that paid $25 an hour. Okay. Before doing all that though, I found something on Craigslist called Shift Smart. It paid $10 an hour to do telemarketing calls. Okay. It was for political data like analysis. So I was one of those annoying people that called and said, "Who are you voting for?" and then asked all these questions. Right. Which clearly the poll, I guess that political data stuff, they don't do the best job. Yeah. Because I think the polls were all wrong. They're all all messed up. But I was making $10 an hour. It was all just on my computer, so it was great. I think by like week 2 or 3 or 4, I got space at this co-working space. So the internet was good. And then I was able to use their computers. And then I started working just off those computers for these jobs on like Upwork and stuff. But it was all virtual assistant jobs, $20 an hour, $25 an hour. And then a cold calling job that paid $20 an hour plus commission. Oh, that's awesome. Were you able to close any from that? Oh yeah. I closed 3 total. I still haven't gotten paid the commission though. So I'm still like talking to the guy about that. Yeah. We'll see if he actually pays or not, but it was pretty cool. I've never cold called ever. Yeah. I never knew too much about cold calling, and I was kind of skeptical. Yeah. Cold calling works. Like, I cannot believe how nice people are. Wow. I can't believe it. Like, I was cold calling chiropractors, and I would call and be like, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." And then I'd be like, "Can I talk to whoever's in charge of marketing?" I'd say 80% of people would be like, "Oh yeah, sure. Let me get you their info." And they would just give me the information. Jeez. I could not, I was blown away. I spent 40 hours total. So I was looking at this the other day too. I billed like a total of 40 hours, and about maybe 15 to 20 of that was actual cold calling. So I had to write the scripts, do all the email sequences, which I've never done any of this. I had to like set up a CRM with HubSpot. And I was able to set 15 appointments within that amount of time of cold calling. So we had a really good conversion rate.
And what were you selling?
Marketing services.
Okay. What price point?
So I think he said that his price points I wasn't doing the closing. I would just set up the appointment to do the closing. He said the price points were anywhere from like $1,500 a month to $5,000 a month.
Oh, okay. Pretty good.
I don't know. Actually, one of the people that I lined up, an appointment with was which is kind of weird, but LA Fitness has a like chiropractic arm, I guess. So I was able to, super random. I didn't even know I was talking to LA Fitness. Yeah. And then I realized that I had scheduled an appointment with LA Fitness for one of those final round calls, and I was just like blown away that's so cool. I might have lined up LA Fitness as a client.
That's pretty amazing.
Cool. Yeah, that's super cool.
And that's one of the things too, is I think cold calling or walking door to door is actually super underrated, because when I heard your story, I started thinking about like, well, what would I do? And I'm like, well, I actually did some of, like, there were things that I did because we were broke. We had no money. We were living with our in-laws, and I couldn't sell anything online at all. And I just walked door to door selling video and like YouTube SEO packages for like $1,000 and then $200 a month. And I spent 4 hours walking door to door. And it's very similar to what you're saying, is like 80% of the people, I would get right past the gatekeeper. I would just get right past the gatekeeper and talk to either the manager or the owner. And within 4 hours, I made $1,000 and 200 reoccurring. And I was just like, I could do this all day long. But
that's amazing.
But most people are scared of it. They think they're going to get the door slammed in, and you will. But I think I think it's probably, if you need money, one of the quickest things you could do is just have a product that you know people are going to want or need, and just start picking up the phone and calling or walking door to door. Either one, you're going to learn so much so fast, or you're going to make a ton of money. And the potential there is super high, especially if you're selling like your own stuff.
For sure. And for me, like it's interesting because I don't have like a marketing skill set, like in terms of like Facebook ads. I don't know how to run Facebook ads or do any of that stuff. So when I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to sell? Should I do cold calling, et cetera? And I actually decided not to I started building a marketing agency for myself. Yeah. And then just decided to just focus 100% on an e-com business I'm going to be building for the project to try to hit the $1 million goal with. But it is, people are so nice. And like, if you just really figure out like exactly what you do and who you do it for, you have to be very clear. You have to really niche down when you start. You can really convert high. And it was funny because that's what I had this person do. This person I worked with was a marketing agency. And I was like, dude, we need to pick one group. Like, who have you worked with the most? He's like, chiropractors. Great. We took his name. We made his company name chiropractors.com. And then I reached out to people and I was like, we help chiropractors grow. Yeah. That's what we do. So then it was a very clear value prop. It converted pretty well, I would say, with getting those 15 appointments with like 15 to 20 hours of cold calling. So if you can like really niche down in the beginning too, I mean, it makes it so easy. Then you just have to figure out how you're going to fulfill the work. And there's a lot of great people you can go and hire, or even partner with other people to fulfill the work and generate some cash. Yeah. And that's the thing that people don't realize, is that like they think they have to have all their ducks in a row before they get started, and you don't have to do the work yourself. You can outsource it out. For me, when we closed that deal, I'm like, I didn't even have a camera, so I used the money. I told them they had to pay up front, so I used the money to go buy the camera, and then I was on YouTube like trying to figure out how to make it work. And I love that. I love that hustle, man. Yeah, that's basically how we got started. So it sounds like you kind of transitioned into, like, you were doing that job for a little bit. And it sounds like you said you were thinking of, or you were going to start your own marketing company, but decided not to do that. Is that right? Yeah. So I did end up starting my own marketing company. So what I ended up doing was I got like a bunch of jobs doing virtual assistant work. And one of those clients I convinced to get on a $2,000 a month retainer and pay up front. Wow. To manage all their social media marketing, which I learned a lot about social media marketing. Like, originally when I started this, I was like, I need to learn TikTok. TikTok's where the opportunity is, which I still believe. Yep. So I was going super hard on TikTok, literally like studying for 2 hours a day. We actually looked at my phone. I was spending 2 hours a day on average on TikTok. Wow. So I learned the platform very quickly, and then I'm doing a lot of stuff for that client with their TikTok. But I was able to take that virtual assistant client, turn into a retainer upfront, and I was like, okay, I can either A, quadruple down, just like try to really scale doing this stuff for other people, or B, I can just take this capital and start the e-com business, which from the beginning I wanted to start an e-com business because I felt like it had the best opportunity to get to $1 million. Just because you can scale with ads. It's a lot harder to scale an agency. The way you scale an agency is really building out your sales team. Which neither I have experience doing. Right. Well, the fulfillment's heavy too on a market. There's so many moving pieces and gears and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. And so then I was trying to figure out, how do I productize the fulfillment? Like, how do we productize this? And when I say that, I mean, like, is there something we can do repetitive that like it becomes the offering? And I couldn't figure out what I'd want to do. So I was like, okay, let's just, and by the way, I tried to get more clients. I ended up getting a $3,000 a month retainer for another client that was a big tech company. And then that whole thing fell apart. I had hired someone, that person quit, didn't give me any notice. And then we didn't do a good enough job executing for that client. That client decided to internalize we were going to run their Instagram. They decided to internalize it. So when that happened, that was a good breaking point to be like, okay, do I try to get more clients to bring in cash flow, or do I just focus on the ecom business?
Yeah.
And I'm focused on the ecom business because I have $5,000 right now, more than enough money to really get this thing off the ground. So that's what I decided to do.
And what's the ecom business?
So the ecom business is a coffee company for dog lovers. So
I love that.
We're really focusing on the dog. So it's actually interesting. So I decided I wanted to I was like, I'm going to build an ecom company. What type of company do I start? So I went to the farmer's market and I was like, oh, well, there's probably a bunch of people at the farmer's market that that have different types of situation. Either A, they just want to be local and that's it. Or B, they're at a farmer's market because they don't know how to market online. So I was like, maybe I can find someone, take their product, white label it, private label it, and sell it. So I went to the farmer's market and I found someone selling coffee, which was funny because the person that I ended up moving in with, that I still live with now and share a room with, had given me this person's coffee. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was really good coffee. So when I met him, I was like, dude, I'm trying to potentially start my own coffee company. I'd love to see how we could work together. And now we're working together. So pretty much what he's doing is I'm starting this company, which part of the rules, by the way, is I'm not revealing the company I'm starting because I don't want people to like watch YouTube and go and like buy the product because that would inflate revenue and be an unfair advantage. 8 months to a year before the whole pandemic started, me and my girlfriend wanted to start an impact company that helps dogs. And we're both huge dog enthusiasts. She's even way crazier than I am. We adopted a pit rescue, and I've donated to other like animal initiatives way before this project. So she works on the $1 Million Comeback team on production and stuff, and is like super underpaid. She's just doing it because she's an amazing girlfriend. So I was like, you know what? If I start this company, it'd be really cool to like start that company that we wanted to start anyway. And then at the end of the project, like I'll have had this set up and like we could work together on this after the project's over. So that's why I decided to pursue kind of like making an impact in that world. And I did take a lot of time to like really think like, do I want to go like build a dog brand right now? Do I want to build a different brand? And so we're making coffee for dog lovers. 20% of the profit is going to be donated to help save dogs.
I love that.
And I've always loved coffee. I've been a huge coffee enthusiast. I've learned a lot about coffee I didn't know previously. So the person I'm partnering with, not equity partnership, pretty much we'll call it corp to corp partnership. So they're roasting all of our coffee. It's being imported. This individual has a farm in Nicaragua. He's going to be roasting all of our coffee, and we are working together on figuring out what different blends we're going to be bringing to market. So we just bagged our first bags of coffee today, which is so cool. Exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting because I went to the farmer's market like 4 weeks ago. And
wow, you guys moved quick.
Yeah, super quick. So like everything's ready to go. The website's a little bit behind, but it should be up hopefully by tomorrow or Friday. And then I'm going to run some influencer campaigns and throw some ad budget behind it.
Yeah, I love that. So when you say coffee for dog lovers, is it like, it's just, obviously it's normal coffee, but is the branding all around dogs
all
and dog
around
lovers?
dogs?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So like, again, and it's kind of cool because I've never run like a very heavy impact driven company because we're donating 20% of profit. Which I think, again, I've never started a company where like, it's like 20% of profit is going to this. So like it's so incredible to me because like a lot of people want to go and pursue things like nonprofits, which are great. There's a lot of nonprofits that I donate a lot of time to, a lot of energy to. But I think in a lot of ways, for-profit businesses have the opportunity to make a lot more impact because you can take that capital and do what you want with it. So I'm really excited because I'm excited to build the team and build a culture of people that are really also excited about the mission. But yeah, so we're really taking a lot of the coffee that this company is already making that's incredible, and we're going to brand it as our coffee. I
love that. It's super smart too. It goes back to what you were saying, is like niche down, like they have to take the marketing company niche down to chiropractors. This is the same thing where we see people or coffee companies like, no, what is it? Black Rifle, and then you see Stiletto Coffee.
I love Black Rifle.
Yeah.
Black Rifle, by the way, if anyone's watching, go look up Black Rifle. Their marketing is incredible.
So
absolutely incredible. It is like I have a really high level of confidence.
Yeah.
Like real, like overconfident. That's a company I look at. I'm like, I don't know if I could ever be that good. Like their marketing is incredible. They've done such a good job. They've been such an inspiration for me while I'm building my company, because I just look at them and I'm like, man, that's exactly what I'm going for. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, is like niching down. But if we dig beneath the surface, and what it is it's identity. So you're playing into and creating a brand that really pulls, into someone's identity. And to me, I think that's the way to build a business sure. in this kind of climate. And that's the way, just in general, but I think moving forward, that's how business is going to be. Like, I think the industries are going to get so like convoluted, and so many competitors will start coming in that you have to just kind of like go after certain identities and just kill it there. And I love that you wrap like that impact kind of goal around it as well. So that's getting started right now. It sounds like you guys are going to be launching pretty soon. How much money have you made so far? And how long has it been? Has it been 4 months?
It's almost been 4 months. Not a lot. I'm super underwhelmed by my progress.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, I want to say we have a money tracker. It hasn't been updated. I want to say it's a little over $10,000. So it's not a lot. It's very underwhelming. Which, you know what? You asked earlier about like things I've learned about myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to curse here, but like, I do not care at all. Like this is something I learned. Like I go to bed and I've thought about this a lot. Is like, why am I not motivated to hit this $1 million goal by like being out there? Like everyone sees every week on Instagram, on YouTube, they see my progress, and it's underwhelming to me. I think it's pretty underwhelming. I just don't care if people look at that and go, wow, you only made 11 grand in 4 months.
Yeah.
Don't care. Which was really interesting, because then, I'm sure you're familiar with Russell Brunson. Yeah. Russell Brunson DM'd me, and he's someone I really look up to. Like I talk about messaging. Like before this project, this isn't biased at all, because he reached out to me. I always told people like Russell Brunson is the best marketer in the world. Yeah, that's my opinion. You can have a different opinion. I think he's the best marketer in the world. He's incredible. And before the project started, I reread Expert Secrets to make sure that I was prepared to storytell if I was going to do anything like this. Right. And for him, he heard me on the Mixergy podcast. For him to had reached out and been like, dude, this is so cool. That motivated me. Yeah. Which was, again, it was really interesting. Like, not motivated by the opinions, but when someone I looked up to reached out to me, I was like, man, I got to do better. Right. I got to do better.
That is interesting. Why do you think that is?
I really, I don't know. I think when he did that, and it wasn't like it motivated me a lot more. It was like, it was more of like, wow, if like someone like that I really look up to is saying this, like it reinstated the opportunity to make the impact that I want to make, I think. So like that was so cool. Yeah. But here's what I'm excited about too, is like, I understand business. I started my first business at 16. Like, you got to just keep going and not look at the vanity metrics, not look at those things. Like one thing can pop, and literally overnight your business could be making $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month. And when I say overnight, I'm talking about a lot of hard work first. Right. But you can get to the point where it's doing that. You just have to, it takes time to figure these things out. Like, this is what happened to me with Told Media. I have a lot of friends that run e-com businesses, same thing. Like literally overnight, they found models that worked. They took their businesses from 6-figure to literally 8-figure businesses. Yeah. And it's not like a magic pill. Like, oh my God, all of a sudden, but sometimes that can happen. Like, all of a sudden you figure out how to start using TikTok to blow your stuff up. And then it takes you, like, there's a company that I found that went from $8,000 a month to $500,000 a month overnight. That's using crazy. TikTok influencers. That's nuts. It's pretty crazy. So for me, and where I'm getting at is it'll be so exciting if I can actually hit the $1 million goal and people can see like month 4, this dude's at like $12,000 revenue.
Right. Yeah.
So that definitely drives me, because it'd be really cool. Again, the one thing I hate about this project is like that vanity metric. Like, that is not happiness, guys. Like, it is not happiness. Like, I need to make $1 million. Why? Why do you need to make $1 million? And it's so like hypocritical to say this with like, that's the goal. Yeah. I guess the vanity goal.
But I mean, there has to be something to measure against too, you know?
Well, that's why we went with it. It was like, okay, let's pick something that's not super easy to achieve to prove a point.
Right.
The biggest thing we're trying to get out here. And when I say we, it's like everyone on the MDC team has made a lot of sacrifices. Like, people have taken pay cuts. People have been working unbelievable hours to help produce all this. So like, you know, they're the real champs on this project, not me. Yeah. But that's our goal, is just like really show people like, you can do it. And it's called living below your means and working your freaking butt off to get what you want. And, you know, it's also like really just like enjoying the grind. Like enjoying it, like
it's a game.
And what's cool is like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make it to our YouTube videos, just because like you only have so much time,
right?
On a YouTube video, like I'm working legitimately 80 hours a week, and we can only get so much of that in a YouTube video. There's one thing I really wish made it to the video that didn't, and it was like this one. It was when I had moved into this room with this other dude, and I literally had 2 bags. That's all I had to my name. Yeah, and I was walking with these 2 bags to my new house, and I had to walk there. It was like about not super far, like 1.2 miles away. But it sucked walking all the way there with both these bags. It was like 100 degrees out. And I was really struggling that week with some stuff. Like, I barely ate, and I was like, you gotta love this. Like, the journey is what's fun. The journey is what's fun. Like, just enjoy it. Enjoy freaking eating beans every single day. Like, enjoy it, because it's all about the ride. Yeah. It makes getting there, when you do get to wherever you're trying to go, it makes it so much sweeter.
Oh, 100%.
When you do get there.
That's what I mean, the only way to actually really know that and understand is by going through it. And so many people are like struggling and having failures in their business, and they're freaking out. And I'm like, you guys have no idea how much of a gift that really is, because when you make it there, it's so much sweeter. It's so much more enjoyable, to the point now where we have low moments, or we might have a failed campaign or a launch or whatever it is. I'm just like, I just sit down, I look around, I'm like, what gifts am I getting right now? Like, I'm just really excited to just get through this and enjoy the process and just see what comes out on the other side. And
for sure,
most people just don't get that. It's just like, it's lost on them because they're so consumed by these like emotions that are coming up and not realizing they have control over those emotions and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And Brandon, one thing you probably don't know about me.
Yep.
I failed for years. Like, I started my first business at 16. I failed hard. I dropped out of college for 1.5 years, worked on a business for 2.5 years. It failed. Then I had to go back to college just to make my parents happy, which was an incredibly fun time. Huge waste of time and money, but incredibly fun.
I agree.
Then I started another business that failed, another business that failed. I started like 5 or 6 companies that failed. Yeah. Like, think of how like crazy that is. Like, legitimately 16 to like, I didn't have any form of like perceived success until like 24, 25. Yeah. And I worked on businesses since I was 16. And like, that first business failed really hard. The second business failed super, super hard. Yeah. Third, fourth, fifth. I enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah. Every single minute, because my whole mindset the whole time was, okay, I learned these cool things. I can do better. And if I go back, I would get mentors earlier. That could have helped me out a lot.
100%.
That's the one I push so hard on people. It's like, okay, what are you working on? Oh, I'm starting this type of business. Great. Go reach out to 20 people that run that same type of business or a similar business model, because they can tell you a lot of things that they screwed up that you're going to screw up. Like, you're going to make these mistakes. You can take this many mistakes and make it a lot smaller, the percentage. So, but man, did I enjoy the entire grind. And then, you know, what's funny? Like, once you kind of like go through all that stuff, like, and maybe you have some bad days, it always defaults to, well, like, I learned all these things, and like, have the health, still going, everything's good, you know?
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It feels like you're inside my head almost this entire interview, because of the way we look at the world is almost identical. And guys, for those of you listening, again, that's not a coincidence. And it's not a result of success either. It wasn't like, oh, they're successful, so this is the way they look. No. That's what created the success. Some of you might have 100%. It backwards. All right. So Mike, I love this whole interview. We're going to wrap up by asking a couple of rapid fire questions where you just want like a 5-word answer. But before we do that, where can people go to follow the challenge? You guys have a website, Instagram, social media?
Yeah. If you check us out, the website's mikeblack.co. Okay. On Instagram, I'm at Mike Black. Those are the 2 best places to find us. On YouTube, it's mikeblack.co/YouTube to get the YouTube channel. And feel free to shoot me a DM. I answer all DMs, so happy to help any way I can. Just feel free to say hi.
Cool. Awesome. So guys, go check that out. Send them a DM, and let's get into rapid fire questions. These are just first things that come to your mind. Goal is 5 words or around there. So the first question is, what do you think is more important, education or experience?
Experience.
Yeah. Do you believe entrepreneurship should be taught in school?
Absolutely.
Cool. Is there anything from your past that you would change if you had the opportunity to do that?
I don't think so. No.
And then in 5 years, where do you see yourself?
Can't answer that one. It's too hard to see 5 years.
It's too hard. What about 1 year?
1 year? Hopefully making the impact I want to make, or at least working on the impact that I want to try to make in the world.
What is that impact? Do you know?
I'm super passionate about helping people figure out whatever happiness is for them. I'm also really passionate about helping younger entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I think because for myself, like starting at 16, I really could have used some good mentors that could have pushed me in the right direction and just avoid a lot of mistakes and sped up the growth.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time mentoring, we'll say like collegiate and below entrepreneurs.
I love that. And then that leads me into the next question. What's the best advice you'd give to new entrepreneurs?
Enjoy, quote unquote, failing. Look at it as learning.
Love that. And last one is, when making decisions, is it more important for you to follow your head or your heart?
I like to go with the heart. It depends.
Yeah. Awesome. Mike, thank you so much for being here with us, spending just over an hour with us. I'm so grateful that you were able to do that. And thank you for sharing your journey. And I wish you the best. We'll be watching you along the way. And if you need anything, just let us know.
Yeah, I appreciate it, my man. I love what you're doing over here. So this was a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, everyone, if you guys enjoyed this episode, head over to iTunes and be sure to leave us a review over there. And make sure you tune in next week for another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.